I want you to ask yourself a question throughout the duration of this video. And that question that I want you to ask yourself is, do I have the heart to keep going? Remember that question. Keep that question in the back of your head. And I want to tell you a story. So I come from a pretty normal town. I live in Pennsylvania. I'm here with my dog right now. We're in a... Charlie, come on. We don't need the background noise. I'm in my Lamborghini right now. This is, wildly enough, one of my cars, which is crazy to even say. It really is. I'm sitting at a spot right now that I used to come to and shoot videos in my old Toyota. You guys probably remember those videos. If not, you can literally scroll down and look at my old videos. It was only 3 years ago. And I used to be very passionate about bodybuilding, and I used to want to become a professional bodybuilder. And I would go to the gym and I would work out, and I was very passionate about that lifestyle. So, I had a couple friends that I worked out with and a couple mentors back in the day that they showed me the ropes, and I really started to excel in it, And I come from a town where everyone works, normal jobs. That's kind of like most of America. But I didn't live in a big city. Everyone worked normal jobs, and there wasn't even many bodybuilders. There was athletic people, there wasn't really many bodybuilders though. So I definitely felt like I was out of the normal, which was good, but also in a way I felt very, very misunderstood. Like I didn't feel like people really understood my goals, except a select few of people that I was hanging out with. And I wanted to become a professional bodybuilder so bad. And when you're a young man and you are doing something that you're passionate about, you become obsessed with that thing because you hold so much of your ego and your pride, and basically you identify with what you do, right? If you're a high school football player and you're excelling in it, you're going to tell people, what do you do? I play football, right? If you're a bodybuilder and you excel in it, and that's your identity, and that's like the only thing that consumes your mind, and consumes your life, you're going to identify that with that, and you're going to tell people that, hey, that's what I do. And I loved bodybuilding, and I still do love bodybuilding. And I wanted to be a professional bodybuilder so bad, so I became obsessed with it. And I don't even want to say professional, because I didn't even know if I had the potential to be a professional. I just knew that I wanted to excel in bodybuilding, and that was my obsession, and that's what I wanted to do with my life. I was obsessed with pumping iron. I was obsessed with bodybuilders. I had my favorites, and I still do. But that's when I started to experiment with steroids and performance enhancements. And I still do off and on, but I don't, take anything like I used to, or at the amounts that I used to. And because there's no reason to do it, but I started to do that, and that added another layer of things. It increased the intensity of everything, right? But it definitely changed my life in a lot of good ways and some bad ways. When I added that extra layer, that's when things really started to pick up for me, because I was really above average. My physique really started to become above average, and you go down this rabbit hole where you're bodybuilding, you're taking steroids, and you're like, okay, I know I'm hurting my body, but I don't care, and I'm going to try to do it as safe as I possibly can, but this is also my obsession. So you're sitting there, you're like, I know this is not the best thing for me, but I'm going to do my run of gear, and then I'm going to come off. Now, when you start bodybuilding, it starts to consume all of your time and your energy. That's why most bodybuilders are broke, because it takes up all their time and energy. So that's what I started to do. And, I went from high school, full-time bodybuilder, basically, I didn't have a job, to now I'm in the work field. I'm in the fucking, the job field, right? And I'm just on Indeed fucking working bullshit jobs. One of the first jobs I had was, it was like warehouse work. And I would work these manual labor jobs, and then I couldn't bodybuild as hard as I wanted to. And then my brain started to change a little bit, because this was like a few years after my parents got divorced, and I was really, working a lot and just, having to make my way, most people, most kids, that age. And I would go to this gym, it's called Nazareth Barbell. And I would go to this gym and I would see a lot of these people, because it was a nicer area in parts of Nazareth. And a lot of these kids that would go to the gym, especially these athletic kids, they came from rich families, and I didn't. I didn't. And at that time, my parents were divorced. My dad had his own spot. He was doing his own thing. We were doing our own thing, and there was no family unit. It was no like you have your little dinner, and then you fucking work out after fucking football practice, and you have your little dinner with your family and all that bullshit. It wasn't that. It was like my mom comes home at fucking 11 p.m. and collapses because she's so fucking tired. And I didn't understand, honestly, I didn't understand how to keep a job, because every time I would work a job, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, bodybuilding is my passion. That's what I need to double down on. And my job kept getting in the way of that. So I started to get conflicted. So as you can notice, right? I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 20. I'm still not making money. So then I'm in the job field. So then I'm half and half, right? So I'm working, I'm trying to make money, then I'm also trying to bodybuild at the same time. So as I'm getting older and older, I'm starting to realize, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I'm not making any money. I'm not making any like progress in my career, or progress in my life, or progress in my finances. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I doing? I competed one time when I was 18. I've been on and off steroids since I was that age. I basically I've never went all the way in, so I can't really figure out why I'm not, making progress, but I know it's because I'm not going all the way in, and I'm not fucking, focusing on what I need to do. So then I'm very conflicted, because I know bodybuilding is the only thing that I know how to be good at. I also identify with a bodybuilder. So I'm muscular, and it's the only thing I have fucking going for me, right? So along that process, right? It was never the next step was ever obvious. It was never do this, then you'll get here, then you'll get here. It was never like that. I never ever fucking knew the next steps. And even to this day, I still am never certain. I'm never sure. I'm never I don't really know. People ask me, honestly, sometimes, and I feel like a lot of people at my level won't admit this. This is why we have to say this response. This is why you get, and I won't speak for most people, but I'm just saying from my perspective, when people ask me what are you going to be doing in 5, 10, 20 years? I'm sitting there thinking I'm going to be doing the same thing I'm doing now, right? But the reason that we say that is because when you ask a successful person that question, and I don't want to call myself successful. I know you guys watch my channel because maybe some of you guys look up to me, you resonate with my story, and you want to learn, right? And I genuinely don't want to ever present my brand or any video that I'm above anybody, because I'm really not. I'm not. We're all fucking equal at the end of the day. But when you ask a person that's accomplished things, what do you want to do? What are you gonna be doing in 5, 10 years? And they say the same thing at a higher level. It's because a lot of us don't know. A lot of us don't know. You understand what I'm saying? Because success is not a clear path, right? Especially financial success. I mean, there's numbers and there's statistics and there's things that you can track, but at the end of the day, success, right? The vision is created within. You create this vision, right? And I would say God more so bestows the vision on you, and you act the vision out. You become the vessel for the vision. We can talk about that in another video. But essentially what I'm saying is we don't really know. So there was a lot of times in my life where I'd been super confused, super conflicted. I don't know if I should go into bodybuilding. I don't know if I should try to pursue a career. And sometimes I would do half and half both. Sometimes I would go all the way in on another, but I could never find that love where I could just do both and I guess live a life where I felt like I was fulfilled. And I remember I turned 25, right? And I start working this manual labor job. And I've worked many manual labor jobs, but at this job, I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go all in on this job. And that's what I did. I started to build the skills at this job, this manual labor job, that I then took and carried with me to these other endeavors in my life. Now, the way I describe it is because I was 25, the way I describe this event happening is like I became squeezed into like the middle, what I call is like this middle, this narrow part of like you're being forced to now either do this or you're gonna have what I believe is like a soul calling or your heart calling you. And that's what happens with many people. They don't realize what's actually happening, but your soul does cry out. Your soul does call out to you. Like that inner feeling of like, I know what I need to do. I know what I want my life to be like, but we deny it and we talk ourselves out of it. And the reason I told you guys about like my background and where I come from, and I come from a small town and a very normal, basic upbringing, and even a lot. And I'm not saying this to discredit what happened in my life and the things that I've been through, or like downplay them in any way, because they have significance. But things like divorce, things like breakups, things like close friends killing themselves, like people dying from drugs, people committing suicide, just things like that happens, right? Financial distress, like all of that stuff is normal. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it's good, but that stuff is pretty normal. Like, there's a normalcy around that stuff is gonna happen. And I think what I realized in those moments, and if you look back on my YouTube videos, there was a lot of times where I would start the camera, I would turn the camera on, and I would be like, I don't even really know what I'm talking about. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know what I'm going to say, right? Like, I'm just kind of like speaking my heart, which is more so what I'm doing now. But the reason I'm saying this is because you can't, and the reason I'm hoping that you don't use that as an excuse, so you can learn from my life and my mistakes. Side thought, I used to drink these every fucking day when I worked in sprayed grass fertilizer. The reason I have to say this stuff, guys, is because, and like honestly, like why I have to be shallow and be like, yeah, see, not like Lamborghini, right? Lamborghini, money. The reason that people have to do that dumb shit, which I don't think it's dumb to have a Lamborghini or want to buy that stuff, but the reason why a lot of times people like me use this stuff in my content, right? And I talk about it, and it's because it's signaling to other people, right? You can see obviously that I've accomplished things in my life, but you have to look past these things, right? You can use it as like, oh, that got my attention, but look past that. I always did that. Whenever I saw someone that had the things that I wanted online or in person, I always thought and looked through them. I'm like, what is the driving factor of this person, right? There's something different about this person, obviously, right? That's, I think, one of the most undeniable things about people that are at a higher level, and why some people get frustrated, is because a lot of the things that in their life it's like undeniable. They wouldn't have it if they didn't change as people. If they didn't grow as people, they wouldn't have the things. And I started to notice with a lot of the people around me, because like if you, and I was telling my girl the other day, I was like, if you go around the area, I'm not saying like I'm so fucking popular, but like there's a lot of gyms you go to and people know me for the wrong reasons. I've worked for people where I've fucked them over, where I just wouldn't show up to the job the next day, and not realizing that is fucking them over. Now that I have people that work for me, right? If someone did that, just didn't show up the next day, I would be fucking pissed, right? So I have a level of understanding of where that comes from, but like, you have to realize that like, I exhausted every option. I slept on every couch I could. I fucking knocked down every fucking door I could to that point. And I realized that, and this is so simple when people say it, right? They go, you have to realize that your situation is not special. But do you actually realize that? Do you have that conversation with yourself where you're special? You're a special person, right? You're valuable. You have value to give, but your situation isn't, as far as like, it's not an excuse. And in all those days, like I had many days where I wanted to give up, and still fucking to this day, honestly, there's days where I'm just like, what the fuck, man, fuck this shit. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I have those conversations with myself still. It's far and few in between, but it still happens sometimes. There's days where at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm shot the fuck out. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to look at anybody. I literally want to fucking crawl in a fucking ball with my dog and just fucking just lay there. Like, it's just the truth, right? I'm just telling you guys this stuff so you know, like, if you feel like that, it's normal. And you feel it and you think that I don't, right? There are days where I'm not working fucking 12 hours and I'm scatterbrained, right? Where I'm like, fuck, like, I'm like, fuck, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll do it. Even at my level, right? So the entire theme of this video, what I'm trying to say is like, all of this underlying like energy and this force, it was all just heart, right? It was all just me moving with, can I use my heart in the moments when I need it? Not my brain, right? Because you use your brain and you'll be able to talk yourself out of it. And I'm not saying don't use your brain. Don't be an idiot. Obviously have a level of competency when you approach anything in your life. But you have to operate from the heart. A lot of you guys don't move from the heart. And that's your problem, right? Like, you don't actually operate from a place of, okay, can I forgive myself for what happened yesterday? Maybe not literally yesterday, but for what happened yesterday and before. Can I forgive myself? And do I have the heart to continue? Do I have the heart to keep going? Like, if you think about a movie, right? Or any type of hero's journey, hero's tale. The reason that, and the reason why every story is like this, why there's like roadblocks and there's friction and there's setbacks and there's this journey of trying and failing in every hero's tale, is because that literally forces the character, the hero, whoever it is, to move from the heart, bro. It's because it's the only way. So what you think is your, like, is like a disadvantage is actually the reason why you could be successful. Like, it's easier for you when you have no money, and let's say hypothetically, or you're struggling financially, you're just building your coaching business or whatever. I mean, I don't know, whatever the reason is that you watch my content. But it would be easier for you to move with your heart. That's why I always looked at it. I go, when I saw people at a higher level, I go, well, I can see that he's getting comfortable. He's not moving with heart. He doesn't have the heart to start again. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like, and this is where you start living the same day over and over and over and over. Like, the actual mechanism that moves you through is not logic. It's connecting to that vision that you've always had for yourself. Because logically, it's gonna look like there's no fucking reason why you should have any of those things that you want. And yeah, if you sit there and think, well, this happened, but do you have the heart to start another day? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. Because if you can, then if you can't, you're going to get here and you're still not going to be happy. The worst thing I said, the worst thing is never not getting what you want. It's getting what you want and still not being satisfied. Right? And it's not that happiness is this, happiness is that. I know you guys watch Andrew Tate and all this bullshit, right? But you still want to live a level of fulfillment. I don't give a fuck what this motherfucker says or anyone says in their little clips. Everyone is looking for fulfillment at the end of the day. Everyone's trying to find God. And you can't find God, you can't find fulfillment if you move with your head, right? Because logically, you're not the person that's fit for the position yet. But if you move with your heart, then you'll be able to forgive yourself for everything you've done. You'll be able to make sense of every day is a new start. I'm starting again. Everything that happened before doesn't matter. You know? Your excuses, your life story, it's not special. You're special. You're amazing. You have value to give, but your story isn't, dude. Sorry. Your circumstances? Nah. Nope. Who cares? Maybe that thing that happened to you isn't your fault. It's still your responsibility, though. It's still your responsibility to take care of shit. Move with your heart and have the heart to start fresh every single day. No victim.